All right, She-Hulk. Let's talk about She-Hulk. I watched the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk as screeners with my daughter, who's 15. Those screeners are hilarious from Disney. They had, a lot of screeners will have like some kind of watermark or something, that so you don't just leak that shit and like give it out or sell it or something. Like, I guess there are unscrupulous journalists out there who would do that kind of thing. But this watermark was just like my name, like across the whole screen. This is Eric Kane. I'm like, okay, I could just cut out the bottom third and leak that on my YouTube channel. Anyways, so the first 4 episodes. Now, I will say I enjoyed, and my daughter enjoyed. I enjoyed watching this with my daughter. This was a fun show to watch with her. And I mean, I love watching TV with my kids. So we watch all kinds of shows together. But I liked She-Hulk well enough. I think that the main character, Jennifer Walters, is charming and funny. I like the fourth wall breaking. Like just talk to the camera, talk to the audience. I wrote a review. I think, which I can link to. I think her like origin story was a little weak. Like I don't know. Like I feel like they could have done something more interesting if they were going to change her origin story from the comics. It's just Hulk blood, like, okay. But without spoiling the other episodes that haven't aired yet, and I'm not sure, I think probably maybe the second one has come out by now. I haven't checked. One thing that bothered me is just, it's this tendency in modern shows to write strong female characters in a way that either makes them like basically the same as toxic men. So we saw that in Peacemaker when one of the characters, gets sort of insulted, confronted at a bar, and she just like completely kicks this guy's ass like way over the top, like, and then it's just a weird scene and it just felt very forced. Like, let's make this character a badass, strong female character by having her act like a toxic male character. I don't know. That seems weird to me. The other way that I feel like modern TV writers are sort of screwing up female characters is by making the men around them terrible. So you can make the female character seem very, very noble, very smart, very strong, very good, by making the men all around her very bad. So in She-Hulk, it's just almost preposterous. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know men are pigs. A lot of men are pigs. Many men. I get it. I have, I was talking with a friend about this who was talking with one of his coworkers, and she was sharing Tinder messages that she receives. And wow, yeah, it is not a fun scene. I don't think it's a fun scene for anybody, but I can only imagine, ladies. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that crap. But in fiction, in writing a show, a believable show that you want, that you want to be able to relate to the characters, if you lay it on too thick, it can still seem kind of fake and contrived, right? So, for instance, and I used this when I wrote this review, I brought up this example. When I was in creative writing class years and years ago, I included in a story something I'd witnessed in real life, which was a mother at a zoo or a park or somewhere, I can't remember now, who told her young toddler that she doesn't love them anymore. They were acting badly, and she was upset, and she said, "I don't love you anymore." It was horrible, right? It was a shocking thing to witness. And I included this in the story, and my teacher said, "This is unbelievable. Like, people are going to read this and think it's not true." And I was like, well, it's literally true. Like, it actually happened. And he said, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it happened. It doesn't work in the story. It just seems too over the top. Likewise, in She-Hulk, one of her lawyer colleagues at the prosecutor's office is, I think his last name is Bukowski, kind of like the poet, who was an interesting man with when it comes to these topics. Much more interesting than the Bukowski in the show. This guy is always referring to women by a number, and I'm sure men actually do that. Some men like a 10. She's a 10. He actually refers to a woman at one point as an it. I'm going to go talk to it, he says. I feel like that's just one of those stories where it's like, okay, this is too much. It's more interesting to write misogynist characters who are more subtle, because, I mean, to be fair, a lot of misogyny is sort of hidden beneath layers of apparent, goodness. That's why you see some of these guys who act like feminists, and then 2 years down the line, it turns out they're predators, right? Because they're trying so hard to pretend to be good instead of just being real. And there's a reason, because they're hiding something, right? Anyways, on and on and on. Like there's a point, just men who try to buy her drinks or whatever. All the men, so many of the men are presented as creeps and losers and sexists. And I think that it's, you can do some of that in a show, but if you're leaning so heavily on it that's how you're making your female lead look good, it's just too heavy-handed. It's too on the nose, and it actually diminishes your main character, because it's kind of like if you make, I mean, and it doesn't matter if it's male or female or whatever, kid or a grown-up. If you make your main character smart by making everyone around them dumb, that doesn't make your main character seem smart. Now, if you make their opponents or their rivals smart and resourceful and talented, and they're even smarter, well, that's how you make a character look smart. I mean, you don't have to just even use that compare and contrast, but the idea being that, like, strong female characters should be able to stand on their own 2 feet. All strong characters of any gender should be able to stand on their own 2 feet, and shouldn't require that we have terrible sexist men around, or at least not this many, or idiots or whatever. One show that I really love that came out this year is Yellow Jackets, which is a predominantly female cast. There are some male characters in that show, but they are, by and large, secondary characters. I mean, pretty much exclusively secondary characters. The women in that show are fascinating. They all have unique personalities and ideas, and the conflict between them is often really complicated and multi-layered. And it's just it's the perfect show to go and watch if you want to see a lot of really terrifically well-drawn female characters. And they don't have to make the men look really bad in order to do that. In fact, sometimes they subvert what you think is going to be a man in the show that you think is going to be an asshole. Actually turns out to be a pretty good guy. And I won't spoil that, but like there are surprising depths to all the characters, regardless of whether they're a main character or a side character or a man or a woman. Very well written show. Severance is another great example. The character Haley in that show is absolutely fascinating. So is what's her face, the Patricia Arquette's character. And again, these are characters that don't require some sort of like gender comparison, like creepy men to make them look good. So again, like I just talked about how House of the Dragon isn't woke. I think that like some of this sort of wokeness has infiltrated the show, like She-Hulk, where it's like this attempt. It's like they're trying too hard to make her a strong woman when, she's She-Hulk. She's going to be a strong, powerful woman no matter what. You can do that without being so heavy-handed. And it's again like it's like that scene in Avengers Endgame where they have all the women like line up and like it's so cheesy. It's like this doesn't actually help your case. Like you want a strong female Marvel characters. Look at Wanda. Look at Black Widow. Anyways, so that's it. She-Hulk. I still think it's a fun show. It's not great. It's just I grade on a curve with a lot of Marvel stuff because it's all just kind of like Like, it's fun. I can take it or leave it. Except for WandaVision. That show was amazing. I could just watch that again and again. I wish all Marvel shows were as good as WandaVision. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.